the likelihood of a fight with you and Terence Crawford? It would be one of the biggest in boxing.
We don't talking about yet about the fight. Me and Turki
Turki Alalshikh has been relentless in his efforts to bring Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez together in the ring. With a jaw-dropping $95 million offer on the table, it seemed like boxing's next big super fight was within reach. However, to the surprise of many, Crawford has now turned down the deal.
If it isn't Canelo next year, are you done from the sport, Terence?
I wouldn't say that. Right now I'm just weighing out my options and looking for the best opportunities and options for Terence Crawford in my career.
Absolutely.
The response was unexpected from a fighter seemingly driven by legacy and greatness. This decision has left the boxing world divided, sparking debate over whether it was a strategic move or a missed opportunity.
See, Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. What is your honest thoughts on that as an opportunity and a potential fight?
Oh, it's always is a chance there, right? We'll see, but always is a chance there, and we're here to make the best deals and always.
Turki hasn't given up hope. He's still determined to make the fight happen, offering to negotiate directly with Canelo and propose what he believes is a fair price. But what truly defines fairness when one fighter risks everything while the other stands to gain a massive payday and valuable legacy points? Canelo has always been clear about the high value he places on his fights, particularly those that could tarnish his reputation or invite criticism. For him, a fight against Crawford offers money, something he doesn't lack, but little else in terms of legacy. It's a mismatch. Beating Crawford wouldn't earn him much credit, as fans would still question why he wasn't facing David Benavidez or another legitimate threat at 168 pounds.
The same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say this too small, it's too small, it's too small, and then, he needs to enjoy.
Crawford's fixation on Canelo makes sense. Fighting him offers the kind of attention, legacy, and payday that few fighters ever achieve. It's a rare opportunity to cement his place in history while earning at a level seldom seen in the sport. However, this single-minded focus has created a peculiar dynamic. Turki promised Crawford he could have any fight he wanted, yet Crawford isn't interested in anyone else. Fighters like Jaron Boutsenis, Sebastian Fundora, or even David Morrell are viewed as steps backward for someone of Crawford's caliber.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying like, hey, forget about Canelo. That was a tough fight with Madrimov. Go ahead and give Boots a shot. Give Boots the chance. But Eddie's saying, hey, I think Crawford's saying, hey, give me the Canelo fight or I'm not fighting. I'm done.
Why? What he got to prove to Boot? Boot trying to take over and start beating the guys around him. Prove that he's the best of that group. Bud is in a group above him. Bud don't need to come back down to 47 to beat him. That's crazy. Why would he? Bud looking to try to make history.
Avoiding these fights might not be the smartest strategy. Facing someone like David Benavidez, for instance, could significantly boost Crawford's reputation. Even if he loses, he could point to Benavidez's size, youth, and raw power as the deciding factors. The same applies to Artur Beterbiev or Dmitry Bivol. Taking on one of these dangerous opponents would generate massive publicity, regardless of the outcome. In boxing, it's not just about winning, it's about proving to the world that you're willing to take risks and face the very best in the business.
Realistically left your mind once he said he's not interested, or you're still pursuing it?
Not at all. I think...
Yet Crawford seems uninterested in risks that don't come with the reward of fighting Canelo. His singular focus has left some fans questioning his true intentions. Is he chasing greatness, or is he reluctant to risk his flawless record against opponents who don't offer the same level of fame and fortune? The criticism grows louder with each passing day. Fighters like Benavidez and Morrell are openly calling for big fights, and Crawford's decision to pass on these opportunities is frustrating a fan base hungry for action.
It's his weight class. 75 is his weight class, and he do nothing in 175. Really, no, he's not the same.
Canelo, meanwhile, has his own challenges to address. The fight fans truly want to see is a showdown with David Benavidez, a matchup that could earn Canelo the respect he craves. However, even that fight comes with complications. Reports indicate that Canelo is demanding an astronomical $200 million for the bout, making the $100 million offer for Crawford seem like a bargain in comparison. If Canelo is holding out for such a massive payday, it's hard to envision him stepping into the ring with Crawford for less, especially when the stakes are significantly lower.
Canelo, Johnny Boy Boxing, Fight Hype. I just want to ask you, what do you think about Terence Crawford? What do we think about Terence Crawford's performance, and do you want to get a fight with him?
If the money is right, I mean...
$100 million, I heard Turkey offered you a big money.
The dynamics of this situation are, to say the least, complicated. Turkey's effort to broker a deal, while commendable, adds another layer of complexity. His enthusiasm is admirable, but it seems he may be underestimating what it takes to bring Canelo to the negotiating table. The promise of a fair price might sound appealing, but Canelo's track record shows he doesn't settle for less than he believes he's worth, and why should he? At this stage in his career, Canelo has nothing to prove. His legacy is already secure, and his financial future is firmly established.
Start doing that.
Where do things stand with Turkey? Turkey said he would like to open a line of communication with you. No middlemen, just you and him.
I never say no to business. So if it is a business for me, I'm open to talk, no matter what.
For Crawford, the stakes are entirely different. He's in a position where one misstep could tarnish his legacy, but a major victory could cement his status among the all-time greats. That's why his hesitation to fight anyone other than Canelo is so perplexing. A matchup against Benavidez or Bivol wouldn't just be a good fight, it could arguably be more meaningful than fighting Canelo. Losing to a much larger opponent would come with built-in excuses, while still generating massive publicity. Fans would admire the bravery it takes to step into the ring with a bigger, stronger foe, even if the outcome didn't go his way.
Very, very effortlessly. He's a tough guy to deal with, and 12 rounds is a long time. But Crawford has a very deep bag of tricks. He's got great, very high boxing IQ. We always watch him early on. He's collecting data on his opponent. Madrimov was a tough nut to crack. It took him a lot of rounds to figure it out, but 9, 10, 11, 12, he started really pushing that pace, was able to get his hands off.
Instead of exploring other opportunities, Crawford remains fixated on Canelo. His decision to reject Turkey's $100 million offer sends a mixed message. On one hand, it shows he's not desperate to secure the fight. On the other, it raises doubts about his willingness to take on the best challenges available. For Turkey, the path forward is uncertain. He's shown he's willing to go the extra mile to make this fight happen, but his optimism may not be enough. The reality is clear, Canelo holds all the leverage, and he knows it. If Turkey wants to bring this fight to life, he'll need to offer something truly extraordinary, far more than just a hefty paycheck. As for Crawford, his options are dwindling. The longer he waits, the more the boxing world moves on, leaving him with fewer opportunities to secure the legacy-defining fight he seeks.
I just want the opportunity, to fight the best fighter in my generation that's out there. He's the most accomplished fighter, and I would just like to, fight in.
Fighters like Benavidez, Morel, and even Bivol are making waves, and each missed opportunity gradually diminishes Crawford's relevance. He may not find these matchups appealing right now, but in the grand scheme, they could be the stepping stones he needs to secure the legacy he desires. Despite all of this, Crawford chose to fight Makhmudov, a matchup that, according to Canelo, didn't exactly show Crawford as a worthy opponent. Although Crawford won by unanimous decision, Canelo openly suggested Makhmudov deserved a better result. Speaking to Fight Hype, the Mexican superstar made his thoughts clear. "I think he knows why there are weight classes, right? He had a good fight, but for me, I think he lost the fight, or it could have been a draw. It could have gone the other way."
They talk all the crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. So let's not do that, Canelo.
Promoter Eddie Hearn didn't hold back in expressing his frustration with the outcome, arguing that Makhmudov was unfairly judged and that Crawford didn't do enough to earn the win. Hearn voiced what many in the boxing world are thinking, that critique alone casts a shadow over Crawford's victory. But when combined with Canelo's harsh assessment, it raises an even bigger question: why would Canelo consider fighting Crawford now? Canelo's position is unique. He's not just another champion, he's the unified super middleweight kingpin, a fighter whose every move is scrutinized. For him to take a fight with Crawford after such a lukewarm debut in a higher weight class would undoubtedly invite criticism. Fans would accuse him of picking on a smaller, weaker opponent, especially if Crawford struggles in the ring against him.
The others say like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like once he gets touched by Canelo, it's gonna be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo, he's gonna slow down.
For Canelo, the risk doesn't seem worth the reward. Even if he wins convincingly, as many expect, the narrative could easily turn against him. Instead of celebrating another achievement, he could face accusations of cherry-picking a smaller fighter whose move up in weight appeared shaky at best. Crawford's unanimous decision over Makhmudov may have earned him another belt, making him a 4-division world champion, but it also raised doubts about his ability to handle the size, power, and skill of fighters in higher weight classes. These doubts make a fight with Canelo less appealing to Alvarez, who thrives on solidifying his legacy against worthy opponents. A match with Crawford now feels less like a career-defining moment and more like an unnecessary risk.
I don't think it's a fight Canelo really wants, if I'm honest, because I think he feels like he won't get a lot of credit beating a light middleweight. And Crawford's going to move a lot in that fight, which is not ideal for Canelo. But what's his options? I mean,
Canelo's fight against Edgar Berlanga highlighted the stark contrast in stakes. While Berlanga is not yet a household name, he's a natural super middleweight with knockout power and youth on his side. The victory against Berlanga reinforced Canelo's dominance in the division and helped maintain his legacy. A fight with Crawford, however, doesn't provide the same level of validation. Crawford's situation becomes even more complicated when viewed through this lens. Makhmudov was meant to be a stepping stone, an opportunity to prove he could compete at higher weights and build momentum for a Canelo showdown. Instead, his performance gave critics more ammunition and only fueled Canelo's skepticism.
Turki Alalshikh playing games. You got somebody ask Turki Alalshikh, is this happening? Look at his response about Crawford facing Canelo. Look at his response. Make the fight, Turki, make the fight.
In the world of boxing, perception is everything. Crawford's victory may look like just another win on paper, but the reactions from Hearn and Canelo tell a different story. They highlight a performance that, while enough to secure a belt, wasn't convincing enough to erase doubts about Crawford's ability to compete in weight classes beyond his comfort zone. Canelo, with his trademark pragmatism, seems to be playing the long game. By questioning Crawford's performance, he's not just throwing shade, he's shaping the narrative. If a fight between the two does happen, Canelo wants it on terms that make sense for him financially, competitively, and in terms of legacy. Until then, Crawford's path forward will require more than just collecting belts. It will take performances that leave no room for doubt, something his win over Makhmudov failed to deliver.
Just from your expert opinion, knowing how Canelo fights, what he's like in the ring, I know you haven't been in the ring with Terence, but what do you think of that fight?
I truly believe, that, anything can happen in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that is his weight. Yeah. And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better.
As things stand, the gap between Crawford and Canelo feels wider than ever. Canelo, secure in his status as a pound-for-pound great, doesn't need Crawford to solidify his place in history. But for Crawford, the reverse may not be true. To truly elevate his legacy, he'll need to convince not just the fans but also Canelo himself that he's a worthy opponent. After his performance against Makhmudov, that's a much harder sell than anyone anticipated. It seems that a fight between them will remain just a conversation rather than a reality, as the obstacles in the way are far more complex than simply agreeing on a multi-million-dollar purse.
For me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in, because I don't like to fight guys like Crawford because he move a lot and the fight is not that great. I saw Crawford the last fight and he don't move that much now. So yeah, if the money is right, I'm in. Why not?
Canelo Alvarez, as the biggest draw in boxing, already commands unmatched financial power in the sport. However, his reported $200 million purse demand to face David Benavidez is widely seen as a strategic barrier rather than a genuine expectation. It's a way for Canelo to avoid the fight without outright rejecting it. For a fighter of his stature, every move is carefully calculated. Accepting a fight with Crawford, who is significantly smaller and unproven at super middleweight, comes with risks that go beyond just the physical challenges. Eddie Hearn provided insights into why this potential matchup faces so many obstacles. Speaking to Fight Hype, Hearn made it clear that despite Turki Alalshikh's enthusiasm for the fight, Canelo himself appears less eager. "I'll be honest, I'd be very surprised if that fight happens," Hearn admitted. "It doesn't seem like something Canelo really wants to do."
We want financials.
Tell him we going for Canelo next.
Yes. Let's go. Canelo, come on.
You heard it from him.
We are ready.
Hearn revealed that he had spoken directly with Canelo about the fight and received a clear response. Canelo's hesitancy stems from the likely narrative that would follow a victory over Crawford. "I think his feeling is that when he beats Crawford, everyone will say, 'I beat a 154-pound fighter,'" Hearn explained. This point gets to the heart of the issue for Canelo. The fight against Crawford feels like a lose-lose situation. If he wins, critics will dismiss it as a foregone conclusion against a smaller opponent. But if he loses, the backlash would be even harsher, questioning how a generational talent like Canelo could be outclassed by someone jumping up 2 weight divisions. The size disparity isn't just a talking point, it's a central factor in the entire conversation. Crawford, for all his skill and dominance, has yet to prove himself at 168 pounds.
With all the antics that Canelo is doing and saying in the media and whatnot, about the size and he won't get no credit and all this type of things, but Canelo been fighting smaller guys his whole career.
Makhmudov, a natural super welterweight with a tricky style but limited professional experience, managed to expose vulnerabilities in Crawford's game. Demetrius Andrade, another respected voice in the boxing world, offered a blunt assessment of Crawford's chances at 168 pounds. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, Andrade said, "Canelo is a fierce wolf and can run all night. I think Crawford has the skills, but when it comes to Canelo, taking punches and blocking power punches, Canelo also knows how to move. He has agility, not like a robot." Andrade's analysis underscores the uphill battle Crawford would face in such a matchup. Canelo's ability to absorb punches, control the pace, and adapt in the ring would likely neutralize Crawford's technical advantages. While acknowledging Crawford's undeniable skills, Andrade expressed doubts about the outcome. "I don't think Crawford can beat Canelo, but I still think he can give him a good fight, and I'll be sitting there watching it," Andrade said. The sentiment that Crawford might be out of his depth isn't limited to Andrade, it's a widely shared opinion in boxing circles. Even as Crawford considers moving up 2 divisions, the practicality of such a leap is questionable. Fighters like Canelo, who have been competing at super middleweight for years, are accustomed to the size, strength, and endurance required at that level. For Crawford, who has built his legacy at 135, 140, and 147 pounds, the adjustment would be monumental.
So how can you, a man coming from 147, I know he's a great man. Crawford is a great man and a great warrior. But you come from 147 to put on a better...
Canelo's reluctance to engage with Crawford is also linked to his current trajectory. The Mexican star has consistently expressed his desire to face the best available opponents while maintaining his position as the sport's top draw. For Canelo, the matchup with other fighters carries far less risk to his reputation than facing Crawford. Meanwhile, Crawford's options are shrinking. A fight with Canelo represents the pinnacle of what he could achieve both financially and historically, but the road to that fight is blocked by factors beyond his control. Even Turki Alalshikh's substantial financial backing may not be enough to sway Canelo if the Mexican feels the fight doesn't align with his legacy.
He did wonderful, I can't... Hey, A++.
Is he one of the best offensive fighters in the game?
One of them, definitely.
What makes him that fight?
You know what I mean? He's just relentless, His pressure, but it's smart pressure,
The size disadvantage is arguably the most significant challenge for Crawford. It's not just about the numbers on the scale, but how those numbers play out in the ring. At 168 pounds, Canelo's punches carry a level of power and authority that Crawford has never faced. The idea that Crawford could overcome such a deficit with skill alone is enticing, but many experts consider it unrealistic. Canelo's calculated approach to his career ensures that every fight he takes contributes to his legacy. While a victory over Crawford would be financially rewarding, it doesn't offer the same level of validation as wins over natural super middleweights or light heavyweights. For Canelo, the narrative is just as important as the result. Crawford's chances against Canelo Alvarez stem from his undeniable skill, ring IQ, and ability to adapt mid-fight. His versatility, seamlessly switching between orthodox and southpaw stances, has baffled opponents at every weight class he's competed in. Crawford's timing, precision, and ability to exploit an opponent's weaknesses could potentially trouble even a fighter of Canelo's caliber. His footwork and defensive instincts might allow him to avoid Canelo's powerful combinations and create opportunities to counter. However, the biggest challenge lies in moving up to 168 pounds. Crawford has dominated at 147, but the physicality of the super middleweight division is an entirely different beast. Fighters in this division are naturally stronger and hit harder, presenting a new set of obstacles for Crawford. Canelo, a seasoned campaigner at 168 pounds, has carried his power through multiple weight classes, delivering crushing blows to opponents like Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders. Crawford would not only have to contend with Canelo's power but also with his ironclad chin, which has absorbed shots from some of the sport's heaviest hitters. Adding to the difficulty, Crawford's frame may struggle to carry the added weight without compromising his speed and stamina, two of his key assets. While Crawford's skill set might match or even surpass Canelo's in certain aspects, the size and strength disparity could lessen those advantages. Canelo's ability to cut off the ring and impose his will on larger opponents could overwhelm Crawford, especially in the later rounds. As the possibility of this fight fades, Crawford's path forward becomes increasingly difficult. To position himself as a legitimate threat to Canelo, he would need to prove his worth against top-tier opponents at 168 pounds, a task that seems daunting under the current circumstances. Until then, the discussion about a potential Crawford-Canelo showdown will remain just that, talk.